Now I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I know you guys actually want to get to your next period. Either that or go home. Whether that's do homework or smoke pot is entirely up to the individual. Oh yes, Mercury. Excuse me. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, but if you didn't know that, I'm not really sure how you got to sitting where you are currently. But all jokes aside, obviously, Mercury is very hot, except for its north and south pole, which really doesn't make any sense to me because it's so close to the Sun. Even if it is the farthest part away from the Sun, it's still really close. Now let's talk about Mercury's symbol. Mercury's symbol looks like a cross with a giant head on top of it with a giant unibrow showing a frowny face without the eyes and mouth. I wouldn't tell anybody to picture that because everybody might come up with a different picture. Like all planets, Mercury got its name after one of the Roman gods, specifically the Roman god of the messenger, also the son of Jupiter. Yes, great position for a Roman god to be in. God of the messenger. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I can't tell you exactly who discovered Mercury, because Mercury has actually been discovered for so long that nobody really knows who discovered it. Could have been Galileo, it could have been Einstein for all I know. Mercury is just under 58 million kilometers away from the Sun, and roughly 77 million kilometers away from the Earth. Well, that's the closest distance, I'm not 100% sure on the farthest distance. Mercury's volume is 60.8 billion, while its mass is roughly 7.2 times 10 to the 23rd. The circumference is 2,439 kilometers, and the density, or the average density, is 5,427 kilograms per meter. Cubed, of course. Mercury's gravity is only 38% of Earth's, which means if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh 38 pounds on Mercury. Yay, I certainly wouldn't be overweight anymore. Now, Mercury is quite odd when it comes to its rotation, considering the fact that it takes 88 Earth days to orbit the Sun, but each day individually on Mercury is about 58 Earth days. Now, I'm not going to try and tell you why that makes sense, but it's probably because the rotation of Mercury is different than Earth's, or at least something like that. Now, how close and far Mercury gets to the Sun, I got different results for every website I went to, so I'm just going to say how do I say this? I'm not going to try to say that word. How close does it get to the Sun? Around 45 million kilometers. How far does it get from the Sun? About 106 kilometers. The planet's appearance is not reddish, orangish, brownish, yellowish, whatever people thought originally. It is actually very closely resembling to our own moon. I'm not going to make another stupid joke about how you should have known that already, because I didn't know that either. Hooray, we can all feel stupid together. Alright, let me look over this paper. Let me see here. No rings. No moons. Ah, here we go. The core composition is mostly iron, and the surface composition is some kind of silicate rocks, like how we find here on Earth. The major gases in its atmosphere is hydrogen, which makes up 22%, and oxygen, which makes up 42%. As for the minor gases, helium makes about 6%, and potassium makes about 0.5%. Oh, and then other 30%. Little to no wind actually occurs on Mercury because the atmosphere is too thin. Temperature ranges as a high of 870 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The surface pressure was a very minuscule decimal, so I'm just going to say it's very close to zero. The weather on Mercury, hot and dry, except for each pole, which still doesn't make any sense to me considering how close Mercury is to the Sun. Now here's something you're not going to believe. Small amounts of water were found in the craters near Mercury's poles. You know, that small strip of land between where you burn to death and where you freeze to death, assuming your head didn't explode from lack of atmosphere. Alright, exploration. Well, I don't really think I need to say it again, considering you either freeze to death or burn to death, but there were actually 2 satellites that were sent to Mercury. One of them being the Mariner 10, which was from 1975 to 2011. Whatever happened to that, I guess nobody will ever know. The second one, the Messenger, aha, I see what they did there, was sent January 14th of 2008, and I guess that one's still up there. I couldn't really find anything else. I'm literally just reading off the paper right now. Let me see here. Habitability, you would die. Future human travel. They would die. What modifications would be needed for humans to live on this planet? Move the Sun! I mean, gosh, right now I'm telling you, we would all burn to death if you tried to send us to Mercury now. Then again, I suppose you could actually copy what they did from that one movie, where they put giant biodomes from really storm it. No, they did that on Mars, never mind. Well, I guess that pretty much finishes up what I'm telling you. Oh! Actually, a little bit of a bonus fact for you. While it is true that currently there are no moons orbiting Mercury, at one point in time, one scientist actually thought that there was. Unfortunately, due to further inspection, he actually found that it was a passing star. What, were you expecting something more interesting? Whatever. If you like this style of commentary, then please go to YouTube and type in The Escapist Magazine and then look for Zero Punctuation, or Yahtzee. He's an Australian fellow that manages to combine swearing with wit and review video games. He's actually quite hysterical. Oh, who am I kidding? You guys probably hated this. Well, I won't stop you any longer. You can go home and smoke your weed now. Yay.